They say cheap rent always comes with a price.
I should have known. I should have listened when the landlord hesitated just for a second before giving me the keys to room 13. No one stays long, he said with a shrug.
You'll be different. Maybe, he laughed afterward.
That was the worst part. Not the words, but the way he laughed. Like he knew something I didn't. I moved in anyway. I needed a place fast. The price was too good to pass up. A 1-bedroom unit in a quiet part of Tacoma, Washington.
Utilities included. No credit check.
It was too easy. The place looked normal.
Beige wallpaper. Creaky wooden floor. A small kitchen with flickering fluorescent lights. The bathroom mirror was old and stained in the corners.
The hallway outside smelled faintly of cigarettes and something else, something sweet and rotting. Like old fruit. I told myself it was just the building. Old buildings always had a smell, but the air in room 13 felt thick. Like it hadn't been breathed in years. I slept that first night with the window open. It was too quiet otherwise. Not peaceful, quiet, dead quiet. Like the walls were waiting. The first thing I noticed was the scratching. It started the second night.
A soft, irregular scraping sound, like nails against drywall.
I pressed my ear to the wall. Nothing. I turned off all the lights and waited. It came again, 2 long scratches. A pause. Then 3 short ones.
Always the same rhythm. 2 long, 3 short.
I knocked on the neighbor's door the next day. No answer. The apartment next to mine looked empty.
The curtains were drawn tight, and there was a thick layer of dust on the doorknob.
On the 3rd night, I dreamed of a woman standing in the corner of my room.
Her hair was soaked. Water dripped onto the floor, even though the ceiling was dry.
I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe. She leaned closer, her eyes never blinking. I woke up gasping, heart racing.
The floor beneath the corner was damp.
It hadn't rained in days. I tried to laugh it off. Stress. Maybe moving into a new place can mess with your head. Especially when it's too quiet. I turned on the TV and let it play all night, just for noise. But it didn't drown out the scratching. It only got louder. And then the light in the hallway started turning on by itself.
Always at 3:13 a.m., not 3:00.
Not 3:15, I took a video. Set my phone up facing the hallway.
Watched it the next morning.
At exactly 3:13 a.m., the hallway light flicked on.
The switch was never touched.
The camera caught no one, but for 2 frames, just 2, you could see a silhouette standing at the end of the hallway. It wasn't there before. It wasn't there after I deleted the video. That's when I found the journal. I dropped my phone behind the bed while changing the sheets, and had to move the whole frame to get it out.
Wedged between the floorboards was a small, battered leather notebook.
No name, no date, just the first page. If you're reading this, you're next. I froze. The handwriting was shaky, like it was written in a rush or while someone's hands were trembling. I flipped through the pages.
Most were blank. Only the first 10 or so had writing.
Then nothing. The entries weren't dated, but they were familiar. One read, "She comes through the mirror. Don't look when you hear the dripping." Another 2 long scratches. 3 short, it means she's almost in. My skin went cold. The last written sentence, scrawled and smudged at the bottom of a half-torn page, simply read, "She watches from the closet now. I keep it locked, but it's not enough." I stared at my own closet.
It creaked just a little.
As if breathing. The lock on it was broken. That night, I slept in the bathtub with the lights on.
The hallway light still turned on at 3:13.
The journal wouldn't leave me alone. I told myself not to read it again. That it was just some prank. A leftover prop from a bored tenant with too much imagination. But every time I closed it, I kept thinking about that last line. I keep it locked, but it's not enough. By the 5th night, I started hearing breathing.
Not mine, not from the hall.
But close, in the room. It was faint. Shallow, like someone sleeping beside me.
The kind of sound you don't hear unless you're really listening for it.
So I listened. And then it stopped. And that was worse. 'cause silence meant it knew I'd heard.
I started recording voice memos on my phone.
I needed proof not to show anyone, just to know I wasn't unraveling.
On the 6th night, I set the phone by the closet door before I went to bed.
In the morning, I played the recording. At 2:41 a.m., there was the sound of something dragging across the floor, and a single knock. Then a voice so low it was barely audible whispering, "Who was the last one?" I threw the phone across the room.
It cracked the mirror, not the bathroom one.
A full-length one nailed to the back of the closet door. When I bent down to pick up the phone, I noticed something strange in the broken glass. My reflection blinked half a second after I did. It was just slow, a trick of light.
That's what I told myself.
But the reflection wasn't quite right. My face looked tired, more sunken, like I hadn't slept in weeks. I didn't remember when I last ate. When I reread the journal, I saw something I'd missed before, between two lines. In tiny handwriting almost too faint to see, someone had scribbled, "Don't stay more than 7 nights. She remembers I counted. That night would be the 7th. I packed. I grabbed everything I could and stuffed it into bags. I didn't care about neatness. I didn't care that it was almost midnight. I just needed to get out. But when I opened the door, the hallway was wrong.
Stretched too long. The ceiling lights buzzed in a flickering pattern that felt familiar.
2 long, 3 short, the same as the scratches. I stepped back inside,
Closed the door, locked it.
Then I tried the window. It wouldn't budge. Not even a little.
The nails on the frame looked rusted into the wood, as if they'd been there for years, even though I remembered opening that very window on my first night.
The journal was back on the bed. I hadn't put it there, and a new line had appeared, fresh ink, still wet. She doesn't like when they leave. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor, back to the wall, clutching a kitchen knife like it could do anything. Around 3:00 a.m., the light outside the door clicked on. I stared through the peephole. Empty. I watched until 3:13.
The silhouette returned.
This time, it didn't vanish after 2 frames. It stayed, motionless, facing my door. And then it moved. Slow, deliberate steps. Each one heavier than the last. Until I could hear its bare feet slapping against the old wooden floorboards. It stopped in front of my door. The knob twisted once.
Twice. Then 3 knocks.
Not loud, but like someone who knew I was there and didn't need to rush. I didn't answer. I waited until dawn. When I finally opened the door, the hallway was back to normal. No sign of anything. No footprints, no silhouette.
But taped to the front of my door was a torn piece of paper.
I recognized it immediately.
It was the missing last page of the journal.
The handwriting matched. It read, "She never left. She just waits." I should have run. Not in the morning. Not when the hallway looked normal, and the light outside was warm and yellow like nothing had happened.
I should have run when I still could.
But fear has a strange way of convincing you to stay still. I called my friend Ethan.
He drove over without asking questions, just heard the tone of my voice and said, "I'm coming." He'd helped me move in. He knew the building.
Knew the room. He stepped inside and froze. "Why is it so cold?" he asked, rubbing his arms. "The heat's on outside." I hadn't noticed. My body had gone numb days ago. But the moment he said it, I felt it again, the chill in the air. Like standing in a walk-in freezer. It wasn't just cold. It was wrong. Still stagnant. Ethan walked around, then stopped in front of the closet. "Dude, this thing reeks." I said nothing. He reached for the door. "Don't." My voice cracked. "Please." He hesitated, then smiled awkwardly, trying to ease the tension. "You hiding something in here, what? Like a skeleton?" He laughed. I didn't. He didn't open it. Thank God. Instead, we sat at the kitchen table. I showed him the journal, the phone recordings. I expected him to call me crazy, to laugh again, but he didn't.
He just stared at the last page and said quietly, "My cousin Sam." He disappeared in 2019.
Lived in this area. Never found.
The last place he rented was on this street. He flipped the back of the journal cover.
In tiny letters, barely scratched into the leather, was the name S. Ellison, his cousin.
We both went pale. Ethan left to call his mom. Check old emails, anything to confirm it was the same person.
I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the closet, waiting for something I couldn't name. That's when I saw the journal was open again.
Different page this time.
She feeds on memory. The more you remember, the more real she becomes. That line burrowed into my brain like a splinter. I looked around the room, trying to stay grounded.
My backpack was by the desk.
My boots by the door. My phone on the windowsill. Except, it wasn't my phone. It looked the same model, same cracked corner, but when I picked it up, the wallpaper was different.
The apps were rearranged.
And the most recent photo in the gallery was one I'd never taken. It was of me, asleep in the bathtub, taken from above. I turned around.
No one was there. The closet door was still closed.
But now it was locked. From the inside, that's when it started the loop. The power flickered. Time skipped. I blinked and Ethan was back, standing in the doorway again like he just arrived.
He rubbed his arms. Why is it so cold?
I tried to answer, but the words didn't come.
My mouth moved, no sound. He looked at the closet.
This thing reeks. He reached for the door. Don't. He smiled, nervous. What? Like a skeleton. And I realized I'd said all this before. I blinked again. The door was open. Ethan was gone. But there were muddy footprints leading out from the closet and stopping right in front of me. Then backward, as if someone had walked out, stood there, and walked back in. The journal was in my lap. New words had appeared.
You're remembering too much.
I tried to tear the pages out, burn them, but the lighter wouldn't spark. The paper wouldn't rip. Every time I blinked, the journal was whole again.
Waiting. I ran to the door.
Opened it. The hallway was wrong again. Endless. Buzzing lights flickered overhead, 2 long, 3 short. And from the far end, she came, hair soaked, black as oil, feet bare, skin gray-blue, dripping, always dripping.
But the sound wasn't wet. It was hollow, like water echoing in a well. Her face wasn't clear.
Always shifting, sometimes like mine, sometimes like Ethan's, sometimes blank. I slammed the door,
Locked every latch, pushed furniture in front of it.
and then came the knock. 2 long, 3 short. From the closet, the journal fell open one last time. She's inside now. The closet door never opened. Not with a creak, not with a bang. It was just open. One blink, and it was ajar. No sound, no movement. But the cold changed.
It wasn't just in the air anymore, it was in my lungs, my spine, under my skin.
Like I was being hollowed out slowly, memory by memory. I don't know how long I sat there.
The clock hands twitched back and forth, stuck at 3:13. The lights buzzed in patterns that didn't make sense anymore.
2 long, 3 short, then 3 long, 1 short.
Morse warnings, or maybe not warnings at all. Maybe it was her speaking.
I screamed, loud, desperate. Not because I thought anyone would hear, but to remind myself I still could.
The sound didn't echo.
It didn't even reach the walls. The air swallowed it.
I opened the closet.
Inside, nothing. No coats. No shelves, just darkness. And in the middle of that darkness, something impossible. A staircase going down. Old wood steps, narrow, slick, sagging like they'd been walked for centuries. I shouldn't have moved, but something pulled. Not physically. Not with a hand.
It pulled with memory.
Every step I took, I remembered something I'd forgotten. My 2nd grade teacher's perfume. The smell of rain on my dad's coat. The song my mother used to hum when she was sad. With each memory, the darkness grew colder, sharper, more real. Until I reached the bottom and there she was.
Not moving. just standing.
She looked exactly like the journal described.
Hair soaked, skin gray.
Eyes closed. But what froze me wasn't her appearance. It was what surrounded her. Shelves. Walls. Thousands of pages taped, nailed, pinned. Floating sheets of paper with names, memories, journal fragments.
All unfinished. All ending with the same line.
She's inside now. I turned around. The staircase was gone. The air pressed in, thick and humming. I reached for my phone. But the screen was blank. No apps. No time. Only one file.
Voice note, Zhuzhou 1. I played it.
It was my voice. Breathless.
Whispering. If someone finds this, don't read the journal.
Don't open the door.
Don't remember. The audio distorted.
And then her voice layered on top of mine.
Who was the last one?
I screamed again. And this time I heard it. Outside the closet, through the door, footsteps. Someone was here. Ethan. It had to be. He must have come back.
I slammed my fists against the walls, the floor, anything to make sound.
To make contact? I didn't care if I broke my hands. I just needed out. Then, a voice above me.
Hello, is someone down there?
It wasn't Ethan. It wasn't anyone I knew.
But it was real. I looked around.
No exits. No stairs. Only the closet. I grabbed one of the floating pages and tore it down. The lights above flickered. I spoke as loud as I could. Yes, I'm here. Please open the door. And silence. And the cold returned. I turned around. She was closer.
Eyes open, mouth open.
But no scream, no sound. Only a whisper that shook my bones. You remembered too much.
The journal appeared in my hands.
A blank page turned itself. And in handwriting that was mine but not mine, I wrote, "She never left. She just waits." I woke up in the bathtub.
Clothes dry, no bruises.
The apartment silent.
The closet door was closed.
The journal was gone. Everything was normal. But my phone had one photo in its gallery. Blurry shot. Of me.
Standing in the closet?
Smiling. The timestamp was tomorrow. I moved out that morning.
Never looked back. I don't sleep much anymore.
When I do, I hear the knocks in my dreams. 2 long, 3 short. Sometimes I hear them when I'm awake. At my front door. At my window. At the mirror. And every time I do, I whisper to myself, "Don't open it! Don't remember!" But I always remembered, and now you do, too. She's inside now. If you're still alive after hearing this story, leave a sign. A comment will do. Just make sure she doesn't see it first.